The middle to the end of the school year can be really hard. Actually, the whole school year can be pretty hard. But the specific problems that we have in the middle to end of the school year can be a little bit different than other times, because a lot of times at this point you are running out of motivation. I know that motivation can be lacking at this time of year, not just because I felt it, because I have many times over the many years I've been teaching, but I've also been talking to other people who feel the same way. Specifically, I made a story the other day talking about like a lesson that we were doing, and someone messaged me on Instagram, which is at Becca's Music Room, by the way, if you're not following, and she said, how do you stay motivated? I'm just so done. And I'm hearing that from a lot of people, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things, not necessarily, we'll do motivation shortly, but kind of 3 different things that you might be feeling and kind of how to solve them at this point. So 3 main problems that I hear a lot. Those are going to be if you are feeling exhausted, if you're feeling unmotivated, and if you're feeling lonely. So let's talk about those 3 things and how to fix them as elementary music teachers. Number 1 is if you are feeling tired, exhausted, teacher tired, or just done. Teaching is hard. It is physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausting. So especially once we've been doing this for a long time, it can be really, really difficult. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I am so tired, I'm so done, like I have been you, I want to say, first of all, you are not alone. You're not alone. Secondly, I have been you. I have had like months of I am so tired, I'm so exhausted, I'm so done, I just can't deal with anything. And that was always the thing that I felt like I just can't deal with this. I can't deal with this. So if you are feeling tired, exhausted, done, first of all, if possible, get some rest. That may not be possible, so I said if possible, but like see if you can sleep in, see if you can get some time to yourself, maybe have a weekend where you just chill. May not be possible, but you know, just throwing that out there. But that would be number 1. And then number 2 is choose activities that are less demanding on you. So as a teacher, some lessons, as you know, especially music teachers, some lessons are like, I'm up front and we're doing this and we're doing that and we're doing that. I had like my 4th graders, that was today. We were singing a song, we're doing body percussion, they're echoing me, we're looking at rhythm cards, we're learning a new rhythm. So I have to be really active in making sure they're doing it correctly. And I'm, you know, constantly talking and constantly calling on people, and we're playing instruments and we're rotating. Like I have to be really on it for that kind of lesson. Other lessons, I don't necessarily have to be really on it. So especially if I pick something that I know super, super, super well. Example, 3rd graders are getting ready for May Day. I didn't know we did May Day, but apparently we do. So that got thrust upon me and I was like, I don't know what this is. So we have to learn some folk dances to perform at May Day apparently. And one of the options was Los Machetes, which is one of my all-time favorite folk dances. I have done it 87,000 bajillion times. I could teach it in my sleep. So today, when my 3rd graders who were doing that song came in, I was like, oh, this is gonna be, not that it's gonna be easy, but like it's not as mentally stimulating because I've done it so many times that I don't have to stress about it. So look for things that maybe you've done so many times that it's really easy to replicate. Then also, things like units. I find units really helpful, especially with the older kids, especially at the end of the year, because it gives a really obvious next step. So for me, a lot of times these units will be either like a composition unit, or it might be something like an instrument unit. That's kind of usually what I go with. If we're learning an instrument, you know, if we're doing ukulele or recorder or piano, I've done all of those at different times. It's really obvious what my next step is, you know? First we learn B, and then we learn A, and then we learn G. And I am aware that this is the wrong hand because I like to mirror it to the kids because, you know, right and left, even with 5th graders, is difficult. You know, and so like there's a really obvious next step. I taught piano at my old school because I had a whole piano lab. I mean, it was like from when I was in school, but it still worked. And so we did piano lessons like every year, and it was really obvious what our next step was because you just go to the next thing, you know, you just go to the next thing. Actually, I was talking to someone who used to teach choir and now teaches elementary, and that was what they said. They were like, choir was so much easier to plan for because you're learning your music and you just learn the next part of the music and you just fix things. As opposed to elementary music, it's like you have to really think through things. So having a unit can be great. You can even do a unit with like coffee can drums, okay? Units could also be things like instruments of the orchestra. That's a unit, okay? We learn about the woodwind family. Then we're gonna learn about the brass family. Then we're gonna learn about the strings and the percussion. And then we're gonna review and we're gonna play games. And like, there's really obvious next steps. And listen, if you're doing instrument as the orchestra, it can typically takes me at least 6 classes, even more if I wanted to, because 1 class for each of the families, an intro and a review. And you can make it more. Okay, you can do a lot more. So that's one of those, like, it's really obvious what your next step is, and that helps with the mentally like planning portion. You don't have to plan as hard if you know what your next step is going to be, because it's super obvious. Things you know really well: units. Projects are great because it takes the kids a long time. We did a composition project. My 4th grade and my 5th grade both did individual composition projects, and it took over a month. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think it was gonna take that long, but it took a really long time. I didn't love my 5th grade one, so I'm gonna change that for next year. But my 4th grade one I actually really did like. We made marsh animal compositions because they were talking about the marsh in science. The marsh is like it's a wetland, kind of like a swamp, and we have them here. So they were learning about that in science, and so we did marsh animal compositions. So on the first day, they had to come up with a list of animals that lived in the marsh. They had to figure out what those rhythms would be. On the second day, they were composing with those animals and those rhythms, 16-beat composition, which ended up taking us 2 days for the most part. Okay, and then after they had their rough draft, then they had to write it pretty on a new piece of paper when they had all the beats correct and all the everything correct. And then then they had to practice, and then they had to film themselves and present it in front of the kids, the other students. And so like, it took a long time, but it made planning really easy. And when they do projects like that, all the work is on them. Like, yes, I'm helping and I'm here to help and I can do things, but I'm not, up there doing all the craziness for 45 minutes. So it can give you a little bit of a break. So we've got things you know really well, units, projects, and listen, there is no shame in finding the easiest activities you can. And for reference, the easiest activities you can would include play along videos on YouTube. I love those. Color by note or other worksheets. We love color by note. It occupies us for a long time. It's fun, it's easy for us, but they're still, technically learning, and they love color by note. I will just say, I'll link some down below if you're like, we need that. And worksheets in general, don't feel bad about giving worksheets, it's fine. And then like games that are like centers games, you could even like not do centers, just do like small groups. So, my favorite one is Kaboom. I'll link a video about how to play that one down below. But all right, y'all get in groups, we're playing Kaboom, give everyone their things, there we go. We can do a body percussion play along, we can do a rhythm play along, we can do Kaboom. Bam, lesson plan. Okay, so if you're feeling tired, you need something easy. Apparently I should have made this a whole video because no, it's already been 10 minutes, I haven't gotten the second one. So number 2 is if you are feeling unmotivated. If you are feeling unmotivated, it's different from feeling tired, because tired is like, I'm just so done. Unmotivated is like, I'm just not here for it, which sounds kind of similar, but they're not the same. So if you're feeling unmotivated, my best suggestion would actually be the opposite. Something that gets you engaged and excited and interested. So specifically trying something new. Okay, years that I have felt unmotivated, I have taught ukulele, I have tried a new project, I have learned something new so I could teach the kids, I've learned a new dance, I've learned, like learning something new can be really fun, and it gets you excited because you're now engaged, you're working on it, you're trying to figure things out, and it gets your brain stimulated. And that's what you need if you're feeling unmotivated. If you're like, I am unmotivated, you need to be invested, which means you need to be excited, which means you need to do something that is fun and exciting and new for you. If you're looking for something new, trying something new, I highly recommend centers. I know it's a shock. I will link some stuff down about centers down below if you want to try that. I also, by the way, love trying new things at the end of the school year, because it doesn't feel as stressful, because at the end of the year, it's like, we're just gonna try this thing out and see how it goes, and maybe I like it, maybe I won't. And then if you don't like it, you don't have to do it next year. And if you do like it, then you can keep going, right? Or you try it and you're like, ooh, I didn't like that part, and then you can change it for next year. And it feels like you're trying it rather than like you're locked in. So highly recommend trying new things at the end of the school year, especially if you're feeling unmotivated. Okay. And the third one is if you're feeling lonely or sad or unhappy or any of those kind of things. And if you're feeling that kind of way, I would highly recommend that you find a community. This could be a couple different things. So finding a community by connecting with someone in your school, and I would highly recommend you connect with someone in your school. My first 2 years of teaching, I was just like work, and I'm very much introverted anyway. And so, and especially like y'all being around kids making noise all day. When it was like lunch and after school, I'm like, I just want quiet, because it's very stimulating to me. And as an introvert, like that's just a lot. It's a lot of people already. So I tend to not engage with people at school. And so my 3rd year of teaching, I finally actually like made a friend. No, crazy. And then she switched schools. I was like, it took me so long and now you're leaving me. And then that happened again the next year too. So that's not fun. But highly recommend you have some sort of community in your school so that you have someone to talk to and vent to, and someone who's there and aware of what's going on. That may or may not be an option. So another way you can find a community is connecting with other music teachers. Even if you have someone in your school, I would also recommend you connect with other music teachers, because as music teachers, we live on Music Teacher Island. This is the music room, and I never leave the music room, and I don't know what goes on anywhere else but over here. And usually they stick us in the corner. Last year, my classroom was all the way at the end of the hallway, and there was a big giant hallway that had no classes in them. Like all the classrooms were empty. We had some like office people in the classroom behind me that like worked for the district, but they didn't technically work at our school. It was literally just like me, and then like hallway, office, art room, hallway, everybody else. Like I have been in my own little world. And so it can be really difficult when you are lonely on Music Teacher Island and you don't have someone to talk to. Like, yeah, I can talk to classroom teachers and I can talk to other specialist teachers, but they don't teach music. So if I have a music question, they're not the ones to go to. I need someone who's a music person that I can go and talk to. So that might take the form of connecting with people in your district. It might be doing things like joining an ORF chapter, joining a Kodai chapter, taking a class. That could be a great, like an actual in-person class can be a great way to meet other music teachers. Connect with people that you went to college with if you're in a similar area to where you went to college. Again, all of these are conditional because I don't know what your situation is, but if you're in that area, you can do that. These are all things you can do to reach out to people. You can also reach out to people virtually, you know, on the internet. Like, the internet is an amazing place and you can create communities. For example, I am actually a part of an online community that is run by Bryson from That Music Teacher. If you don't know him, he's great. He does lots of, he's a podcast and he does lots of trainings, and he's really good at like inclusion and including all the students and talking about like how to differentiate, especially with students with disabilities. And he does a really good job with like study beat, and he has some really fun lessons. So highly recommend you check him out. But specifically, I'm a part of his community where he has not only like trainings and PD that are by him and other music teachers, so it's like people who are actually in the classroom and actually teach music, but he also has, you know, a whole community area where you can talk to people and you can ask your questions and you can communicate with people. And it is so helpful to be able to have that outlet when you're like, I don't know what to do. Let me go over here to That Music Teacher community and I can ask my question, and then maybe we can join it. So if you want to join that community, I would love to have you there. I'm sure Bryson would love to have you there too. So I'll leave a link to it down below in the description. It is an affiliate link, which means that I do get some money from it, but you don't pay any extra. So you pay the same, I get a little more for referring you, and then we can chat in the community. So that'll be super exciting. I will leave the link down below. I also love that there's a ton of PD in there, and they get new ones every month. I think it's every month. I'm pretty sure it's every month. New ones every month, so you get new things, and if you can't see it live, you can check it out afterwards. I'm actually gonna watch one tonight. because David Rao was on it last night and I missed it because I had stuff to do to her last night. So I'm excited for that. And if you want to join that community, I will leave a link to it down below and you can come ask all your questions and hang out and watch all the things. So there you go. That's what we do. If you're feeling exhausted, make life easy. If you're feeling unmotivated, try something new. If you're feeling lonely, find a community of people who you can talk to about things, because it is monumentally different. And go outside your comfort zone. If you're an introvert like me, like, you know, try to have lunch with someone once a week. You know, just try to do something. Anything's better than nothing. Okay, I would love to have you in my community. So if you have made it all the way to the end of the video, hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you later. Bye.